There are moments in life when you suddenly understand that you are completely alone. For me, that moment happened on November 15th, inside a polished Manhattan law office. I was sitting in a leather chair that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent, listening to a voice calmly dismantle what little hope I had left. And to my granddaughter, Sarah Rodriguez, the lawyer read in a flat, professional tone, "I leave nothing. Her choices have led her down a path I cannot support, and I will not reward failure with inheritance." The silence afterward felt heavier than the words themselves. My 7-year-old daughter, Sophie, slipped her small hand into mine. She didn't fully understand what was happening, but she felt it, the tension, the humiliation, the grief. Children always feel more than we think. Across the white oak table sat my siblings. My brother Marcus, sharp and immaculate in a designer suit, wore the faint smile of a man who had just won something. My sister Diana shimmered in diamonds and satisfaction. They had inherited everything, millions in property, art, and investments. Marcus received the Hamptons estate. Diana got the Brooklyn brownstone and the art collection. Even distant relatives received generous gifts. I received nothing. At 32, I already looked 40. 3 jobs will do that to a person. Morning shifts at a diner. Afternoon cleaning offices. Night stocking shelves. 4 hours of sleep if I was lucky. Sophie's father had left 3 years ago without a word. "Well," Marcus said smoothly, leaning back in his chair, "if you ever need help, maybe a loan. We can discuss terms." The insult was wrapped in fake generosity. I stood up, holding Sophie's hand. "We don't need anything from you." It wasn't true, but it felt powerful to say. We were halfway to the elevator when a woman hurried toward us. "Miss Rodriguez, please wait." She introduced herself as Patricia Walsh and handed me a cream-colored envelope. "This is from Evelyn Margaret Thorne. She passed away 6 weeks ago. She asked that this be delivered after your grandmother's will was read." The name stirred something distant in my memory. Evelyn Thorne, my grandmother's older sister. The one who had been cut off from the family decades ago. I opened the letter. The handwriting was shaky but steady in spirit. "My dearest Sarah. We met once when you were 8. You may not remember me. I followed your life from afar. I know what your family did today. They did the same to me once. I married the wrong man and was erased for it. But I built something beautiful anyway. The mansion at 417, Holloway Ridge Road in Silver Creek, New Hampshire, is yours. There is more you must discover when you arrive. Not because you are perfect, but because you survived. Someone saw you, Sarah. Someone knew you were worth more." I read it twice. For the first time in years, something inside me warmed. Hope. That night, I packed everything important into our old car, withdrew our last $300, and told Sophie we were going on an adventure. We drove into a snowstorm the Weather Channel's called the worst in 50 years. The roads were nearly empty. Snow swallowed the headlights. The car skidded once on black ice, and my heart nearly stopped, but we kept going. At last, through the white blur of wind and snow, the mansion appeared. It rose from the darkness like something out of a forgotten era, stone walls, tall windows, and graceful towers buried in snow. The key fit perfectly. Inside, the air was freezing, but the house was breathtaking. Grand staircase. Crystal chandeliers. Marble floors. A vast library filled with thousands of books. "Is this really ours?" Sophie whispered. "Yes," I said softly. "It is. We chose a small bedroom upstairs and piled blankets onto the bed. Sophie fell asleep quickly. I didn't. Sometime during the night, I heard footsteps downstairs. Soft. Slow. I went down with my phone flashlight and found something strange, fresh footprints in the dust leading into the library. Inside, an old leather journal lay open on a table. It was Evelyn's. The page was dated 5 months earlier. She will find this house when she is ready, she had written. Sarah is stronger than they know. A whisper seemed to move through the room. Welcome home. By morning, the house felt less frightening and more magical. Later that day, Sophie discovered a hidden door behind a mirror. It led to an art studio filled with paintings, beautiful landscapes, portraits, and one unfinished canvas of the mansion in summer. In an upstairs window of that painting stood a woman and a child. They looked exactly like me and Sophie. But the true secret waited in a hidden vault on the 3rd floor. Inside were documents, bonds, stock certificates, rare coins, and property deeds. A safe stood against the wall, its combination hidden in a poem Evelyn had framed nearby. When I unlocked it, my world shifted. Inside was a fortune, hundreds of millions in assets built over decades of wise investments. More money than I could comprehend. Before I could process it, black SUVs rolled up the driveway. Marcus and Diana had come. They claimed the will was being contested. Their lawyers threatened to freeze everything unless I signed over my rights. They offered $50,000 to walk away. I refused. The legal battle moved to the local courthouse in Silver Creek. There, something unexpected happened. The community showed up for me. The sheriff. The diner owner. A retired attorney who had known Evelyn personally. They stood behind me because Evelyn had spent decades quietly helping the town, funding scholarships, saving businesses, paying medical bills. She had built more than wealth. She had built loyalty. In court, the judge ruled in my favor. Evelyn's will stood. But then came a final revelation. DNA evidence revealed I was not just a distant relative. I was Evelyn's biological great-granddaughter through a long-hidden family secret. She hadn't chosen me randomly. She had chosen blood. The case was closed. Marcus and Diana lost everything they spent trying to fight it. Months passed. Instead of living in luxury, I used the inheritance to create the Evelyn Thorne Foundation, a program to support single mothers with housing, job training, childcare, and small business loans. The mansion became a community center. The library opened to the public. The art studio welcomed local artists. The vault room became a children's reading center. Years later, I stood in that room watching Sophie, now older, confident, and bright, lead a writing workshop for other children. On the wall hung a framed copy of Evelyn's inventory. Below it, I had written, $265 million received and transformed. Thousands of lives supported. Hope multiplied. The best inheritance isn't money. It's belief. Belief that you matter. Belief that survival is strength. Belief that being rejected does not mean being worthless. Once, I sat in a Manhattan office believing I had nothing. Now I understand. I was never empty. I was simply waiting for someone brave enough to see me. And because she did, I learned to see others. That is the kind of wealth that never runs out.